This is a video recording of the PowerPoint on Eric Weiner in the book The Geography of Bliss on the chapter on Switzerland. So his findings indicate that the Swiss value cleanliness. So that's one thing that makes them happy. So clean toilets, clean streets, clean tap water. They also value being on time or things happening precisely at a certain time. And so the one of the person he interviews is that there was this one time when the train, the high-speed railway system over there was 20 minutes late, and people were just they were not used to this happening, and they were very anxious. So a few years ago, when the railway system broke down for 18 hours, um, it led people into existential doubt. So they were starting to question their own existence as a result of this. Another thing that people in Switzerland do not do is that they do not show off wealth. So if someone has money, they will not go out and buy things to show off that they have money, because this will trigger envy. If a wealthy person in Switzerland starts showing off their wealth, his or her wealth, people will actually know that something is wrong with that person, because those who are wealthy, their neighbors will know. So if that person starts showing off, then people are going to think that something is actually wrong with that person, that he or she cannot handle his or her money properly. So they do not show off wealth. They are very fond of rules or doing certain things, certain times of the day. In many parts of Switzerland, you can't mow your lawn or shake your carpets on Sunday. You can't hang laundry from your balcony on any day. You can't flush your toilet after 10 p.m. So this is basically the some of the social customs over there. Right? This is what they value. This issue about not flushing their toilet after 10 p.m. probably has something to do with not making noises basically after a certain time to disturb your neighbors. And I really think that this applies only for people living in apartment complexes. So one person he interviewed was a British woman, a businesswoman living in Switzerland, and she came home late one evening, and she invited some people over to stay up, have a few drinks, and talk. And then the next day, she found a note pinned to her door. It stated, "Please, no laughing after midnight." So once again, the idea that do not be too loud late into the night, otherwise it's going to disturb your neighbor, right? So this is another social custom. If you have a dirty car in Switzerland, someone's going to pin a note to it stating, "Please wash your car." So once again, they value cleanliness. In this case, your car should be clean, not dirty. So everything has a certain is done as a routine, or has a certain time of the day to do these things. So on the day of anarchy, or May 1st, the May Day holiday, that the anarchists, they're going to break a few window shops to protest for labor rights. And it always happens at the exact same time. As one Swiss person stated, that yes, we have anarchy, it's in the afternoon. That even anarchy is planned and timed. There's an exact time for anarchy as well. Maybe the Swiss are extremely happy. Maybe it has something to do with being in touch with nature. So over in Switzerland, a large part of their society is actually amongst the Swiss Alps. So perhaps there's a correlation between living close to nature and being extremely happy over there. Their government cares a great deal about the environment. So the government spent $20 billion to dig a tunnel underneath the Alps so that trucks can be placed on trains and transported through the mountains instead of having to build highways and road basically through the mountains, and in essence kind of disturbing nature. So they care a great deal about their environment. And maybe they are extremely happy um, due to certain laws over there. For example, they're free to commit euthanasia. Right? That is doctor-assisted suicide. So if someone is terminally ill, after consultation with a doctor over there, one can opt for euthanasia or doctor-assisted suicide. On patients, so Eric Weiner also concluded that people in Switzerland, they are extremely patient. If they're talking to someone, they're not going to look at uh, they're not going to look at their watch to see what time it is. So they are extremely patient over there. They have more of a direct democracy than we do. So on average, they get to vote 6 or 7 times per year. So having a greater say in what goes on in their society and government, perhaps this correlates to a greater sense of control and therefore greater happiness in that society as well. So what does the reading show us? So Eric Weiner's book shows us that happiness is relative to each culture, and in this case for Switzerland. So happiness is not objective, it is not universal, as Aristotle claimed, right? That it is relative to the society that we were brought up in. So it is different from each culture to culture. It is not universally the same as we have seen in the case of Switzerland, and when we compare how they live and what they value compared to our own country. For those you writing your term paper on this, and if you favor this position, I highly recommend reading Eric Weiner's entire book. The book is entitled The Geography of Bliss.